So Charlie Kirk appeared on CNBC and perfectly educated them about the public's mistrust of the ruling class, especially after the scamdemic. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk appearing on CNBC and educating the host about the general public's mistrust of the so-called ruling class, especially after the pandemic, scandemic, plandemic, whatever you want to call it. Now, what he said right here was right up my alley, 100% up my alley. I've long been not a very trustful person when it comes to the federales. It doesn't really matter who's in office as far as my trust. What I vote for is a guy that will do some things that I want. It's like, okay, you talking about we're going to tax everything. You say we're not going to tax that much. Okay, let's go with you because that makes the most sense. But when it comes to the government, I don't want them to be too much into my life. The smaller the government, the better. Okay, you're talking about national defense, things of this nature. Okay, cool, great. When you're dealing with international relations, national security, I'm on board. But when it comes to trying to micromanage my everyday life, I'm good. I don't need the government that much, which is why I don't want to get government assistance and be in government housing and government this, government that, because when the government gives you so much, they can control it and they can take it away whenever they want. Now, before I go any further, let's get to the actual clip. Of course, I will place the clip in the box, as always, if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
In a post-COVID world,
I'm just an idealist to believe that we can...
Hold on, Andrew.
You're not the left. You're not intolerant.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
We did not receive any apologies from the ruling class that lied to us repeatedly during COVID. The lockdowns, the efficacy of the vaccine, the mask mandates, school closures, and we just act as if it didn't happen.
Now, what he's saying right there, and I'm sorry for the pausing, but I got to jump in right here. What he's saying right there is absolutely on point. The lockdowns, in my humble opinion, are worse than if we didn't do it. Because really, ultimately, what is C19, the China virus? What is that? It's a head cold. Okay. And if you are susceptible to becoming very ill, whether you be very old or way out of shape, you were going to succumb to the virus the same as the flu. I was watching the video recently where Anthony Fauci said, oh, well, the flu, it took a vacation. A vacation? The lies that they told are irredeemable and it cost lives.
And I don't think the American ruling class understands the undermining of their credibility that happened when the entire country had their lives thwarted, especially young people. We're just supposed to reopen the country and be like, well, why don't you trust us anymore? Well, it's because, the Hunter Biden laptops, right. Russian disinformation, 50 intel operations signed this letter. And I'm making a good point here because there was no contrition.
That's just one example.
And again, I could go one after the other.
No. I would say that actually COVID, to me, this is actually generational, is actually very much like the 2008 crisis in a way. Okay, that spawned Occupy Wall Street. This has sort of spawned a different sort of political...
You want to do...
Now, Andrew Ross Sorkin, really? Are we going to compare 2008 to 2020, the scamdemic, plandemic, pandemic? Are we really going to do that? Listen, 2008, I was around for both eras. I'm, 23 going on 24 in 2008? And I was out there doing my thing, self-employed. I had a really good run during that time from 08 to 12 because I had such low prices. I was doing things for so cheap. As far as my graphic design, I could sustain myself. But if you had a business that was rolling with employees, you had real estate, stuff like that, you lost your shirt. You lost your entire shirt. It was a big economic downturn. It was more akin to the Great Depression, in my humble opinion, although it wasn't that dramatic because of all the government programs we have that prop us up. But 2020 was a government decision to tell us to stop working, to make us stay home. Well, to make some of us stay home. Okay, that was the difference. One was economic downturn. The other was stay home, don't go nowhere. Just take this little ration we give you and be quiet.
Russian collusion? Do you want to do the laptop? Do you want to do... take your pick on the way things are covered in this country.
All I'm suggesting, though, is this full-on, constant relitigation of what took place in the past as opposed to a clear-eyed view of what's happening now.
I would just interject respectfully that it's not just relitigate. First of all, no one was held accountable.
If no one was held accountable, then how can we be relitigating it? You have to actually litigate something first to relitigate it afterward.
largely for what happened.
That's
right?
why I said it's sort of like 2008, because a lot of people thought all those bankers were supposed to go to jail, frankly.
Well, and honestly, there should have been, I think there should have been some administration of justice. That's a separate issue. I was young at the time. I can only speak about what we're living through now. And a lot of the COVID injustices we are still seeing today with younger people and their ability to own homes, with the inflation that President Trump is trying to fix that was inherited by Joe Biden. So what I'm getting at, and I know a lot of the C-suite of America watches this program, they might understand where is this populist fervor coming from, is that you have missed the mark on so many of the core proclamations you made to the American people.
Explain to me.
Exactly. So shout out to Charlie Kirk again. That is Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk over there on CNBC. Again, I'll link to that whole thing. And it was actually much longer. I'll link to the entire piece in the box. But what he said right there is right on point. Listen, the American people see what the government did, and we see what they want to do in the future. And we're like, nah, we don't want to do it. This is why President Trump won so convincingly. Aside from having Kamala Harris, who was terrible, aside from having her as a running mate, it didn't really matter who you put him up against because ultimately he was going to win. The American people saw what Biden did from 2020 to 2024. So, okay, they say Trump's so bad, Orange Man bad. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can get from Joe Biden. And they got the migrant crisis. You got crazy crime out of control, job loss because of the migrants competing with Americans. You know what? That wasn't a good idea. Let's go the other direction. Let's go the other direction. And that's what we did. And now we're starting to see things kind of get back to normal. Americans are smart enough to understand that. We may not all be 100%, the best well educated, Harvard, Yale, all this and that, Ivy League, but we know some common sense things. If you vote for one person and things are going one way that you like, you vote for the other guy and things are going one way that you don't like, then why would you vote for that same person again? Why would you vote for the vice president of that person? Why would you vote for anyone from that party at all? Just go back to what was working. Go back to President Trump. He's available. Okay, put him in there. That's what we did because we're able to observe this country. We see what's going on, and we're not going to fall for the things that you did to us previously. We learned from it. We know it was a mistake. We know the lockdowns were a mistake, and I know Trump was part of that and Operation Warp Speed. But you're talking about individual states that stayed locked down for a very long time and the damage that it did. Florida out here, East Coast, was open pretty much right away. Tennessee, Georgia. I don't think Atlanta closed at all during the scamdemic. Everything was open and it's fine over here. It's fine. Everybody wants to be here. But a place like California stayed locked down for years, I feel like, and they are suffering the consequences of it right now to the point where they got to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry from all over the globe to come there to do these low skill, low labor, low paid jobs. And now that we're saying, hey, you can't have them here, you're violating federal law. They want to talk about we're racist and sexist and everything else. It's ridiculous. The American people are done with the ruling class who think they know everything. They think they're so well educated, but they don't understand what we need. And if they did, they would hear us out when we're telling them, hey, we don't want the migrants. We want more jobs. We want more this and we want more of that. These cries are largely being ignored. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about Charlie Kirk's appearance on CNBC? Is it a good appearance, bad appearance? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. He hit the nail right on the head. Right, clean, smooth on the head. Yes, he did. It was perfect. I feel the exact same way. The American people, and I think, again, I can speak for all of us, we're tired of the phony ruling class. We're tired of the games. We're tired of the manipulation. We're tired of the gaslighting. And we're going to do what we think makes the most sense rather than just listening to what they tell us and taking everything they say for gospel. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.